welcome to my YouTube channel. So in this particular video, we'll be making a Tic Tac Toe game in Flutter, which will be offline supported and multiple players can play this game together. So the app that we'll be making from very beginning, so we'll talk about how to set the Flutter project, how to design the Tic Tac Toe game, how the architecture and the logic will work inside the application, what and all packages we'll be using in the app, and by the end of this video, we'll deploy the complete Flutter project on GitHub as well. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do that as it will really help the channel out. Just go to my channel and click the subscribe button. There are a lot of interesting videos that you can watch as well that I'm pretty sure that you will love. So with that being said, let's begin with our video. Alright then, so first let's talk about the design of the application and what we'll be making, what and all screens we'll make. So first let me open up Figma here and let's create our screens. So we'll be having our home page, we'll be having our device scanning animation page, and we'll be having our main tic-tac-toe page. Alright, so this will be our home page. So let me just change that, our home page. Next, we'll have our finding devices page. All right, I forgot the E, so page. And we'll have our main tic-tac-toe screen or tic-tac-toe page. Awesome. Yep, perfect. Next, what we have to do, so inside the home page, what we have to do is there will be two scenarios. So we'll also have our auth page, or I'll say it like new user page. So if it is a new user, that time we'll be having another screen, and let's create one more for our splash, because why not, right? Splash page. All right, so we'll have our splash screen or page, new user. So if it is a new user, then we'll show that. Otherwise, directly we'll show our home page. And inside the entire application, there will not be any backend or any API calling. Everything will be available locally. So locally we'll be handling, and storage will handle inside the device. All right. So here we'll be having our logo, whatever logo we'll add, we can just add that. So let me just change this to 150 by 150. Design we can later talk about how we'll be making. Just I'm making a MVP, how it should be. So inside the new user page, what we want is basically there has to be a text field. And with this text field that we have, what we want is next we have a button as well. So let me just duplicate that and create a button. So we'll have our splash page, new user page, where we'll have our text field and a play now button. Next, inside our home page, by default, when we open up the app, we get our home page. So the player name will be stored inside locally. Inside the local storage, it will be stored of the player name. So after that, whenever we open the app, there will be a settings. So here we'll add a setting. So let me go take a circle and let's just quickly add the settings here. And let's group these together. So settings and that, and this play now button I'll duplicate and add that here. All right, so I'll just align that, continue, play now, this play now button that we'll add. So on clicking that button we'll add, so let me just add that, find device, navigate to, yep, and on clicking continue it will just go there. So delay from splash screen to user, from user to home page, and from home page to finding devices. Next, from devices, what we can do is we can add here the animation package that I have made, that we'll talk about just in a moment. Okay, so here we'll add our widget. So here we'll add the widget ripple animation, and I've made a package for that we'll talk about as well. So what we can do, once we have any device, a button will appear. So let's just copy that, and let me just take this button over here, and here we'll have play with, and then name will appear. Whatever person name of that name will appear right here, and on clicking that, we'll navigate to our Tic Tac Toe game, Tic Tac Toe page that we have. And here basically we all know Tic Tac Toe, that we have layout we'll make for that, so that will appear and they can play the game. So first, let's make our Android Studio Flutter project, design the entire app, and then move forward with that. So let's open up Android Studio, and here let me create a new project. So file, new Flutter project. Next, and I'll name this project as Tic Tac Toe P2P. And there we go. Com.example is fine. Let's hit create. This window we can open it up, and Tic Tac Toe P2P is added. Next, what we'll do, let's make our folder structure and remove all of this boilerplate code that we have, because that's not what we want. And let's remove that. And next, let's add our splash screen. Okay, so what we want here is inside lib, I'll create core, I'll create config, I'll create views. Inside views, we can create our splash screen, let's name it as auth screen, or let's name it as username screen. Next, we'll have our home screen, and furthermore we will be having our main Tic Tac Toe screen. There we go. So let's create our splash screen first. So let me create our splash screen, import material, and create a stateless or stateful, and let's create a splash screen. That's it. Scaffold, body, center, child, and we can create our app logo that we can add here. So first, let me just quickly add this splash screen right over here. Next, inside the core, we will add our colors that we want, and yeah, and inside core only, let's create a directory constants, and models. Colors I can drop in constants, and inside the splash screen, let's just add here our image. So first what we can do is in Figma, uh, I've got some screens of the components that we can use in our Tic Tac Toe game as well. And it's basically coming from this free game UI kit community design. And this is not made by me, but I can show you as well. It is made by Tahorin. So yeah, that we will be using to make our UI. So what I can do next is, this is our design, our MVP, our basic design that I have made. I'll duplicate that and I'll just create more screens. Now for the splash screen, we can use the same theme. So what I will do is this BG that we have, I'll copy that and I'll add the BG right here, and let's expand that and fill that up to the entire our splash screen, and let me put it right here. Perfect. Then this BG that I have made, let me just make it in the bottom, and this game that we have, so here we can make our game name, so Flutter. So okay, so next let me have this, and center align let's do once, and center align let's do once again. So this can be center align, okay, some place right here. So yeah, center align and center align. So tic tac toe, that can be the logo of the application. So perfect. And next, let me, okay, so what we can do is we can simply copy this component and replace that, add that in our game. So I'll remove the rectangle and put it in center of the screen. Next, we'll add this loading text. So I'll just copy that and add that as well, center of the screen. And let's align the y-axis as well. So let's change that and put it somewhere along here. Makes sense. Next, let's go and create our new user page. Right. So the play button that I have made here, or continue, what we can do is we can use the same theme of this buttons, right? So let's go and I'll just copy that. This is the play button and I'll paste that here. And yeah, let me change the name here to continue. All right, continue. Yeah, that will work. So this continue that we have, I'll just remove that and put this button instead. Center align we can do, and the BG will be having the same exact BG. This group, I'll just align it a little bit on the top side, and this loading also I'll put it somewhere here. Now let's go to the BG, copy that and paste, okay, and paste that in our new user page and put that in the bottom. All right, then continue we have, and here we can add our text field. So for the text field, let's just go here, card shadow. So this card, I'll copy that card and I'll put that card right here. And this will act as our text field container that we can make. Yeah, that will work. And here we can add the player name. So first we want, so this we can add, and let's put it in center, and let's change the text, enter player name. And this, let's increase that to 215. and align that and center line this. Layer name, let's increase the font size. Let's change this color to white. Something like that we can add. And yeah, so let me just reduce the styling here to 24 maybe. So this will work just fine. Next, what I'll add is this new user page. After that, this continue we'll have, and then home page that we have. For here, I'll be adding this setting. So we have one setting here. That's right. So this widget I'll copy and put that right here. Settings added. Let's go and into the settings and put that widget right here. So we have a 15 here. Let's go and change that to 24. Right. So let's go. Okay. 24. From above, we'll have some spacing. And here I'll create this chip and add that. Welcome back. And here we'll add our name. So whatever name of the user it is, we'll just add that. Let's align it to center. Right. And next, let's copy this button, duplicate that, and put this button in the center of the screen. So let's see. Somewhere around like that, loading, play game, and start. Continue also. I'll follow the same theme that we are following here. All right, so these are done. Here I'll go to our package that I have made. So device scan animation, and that's the package that I have added. So this is what we'll be adding. So let me just quickly add that component just for the reference. Something like that, device scan animation package we'll be using, and we'll add the animation for that here. Next, we'll be having our Tic Tac Toe page basically, and that's what we'll be making. Perfect. So our screen, whatever we have decided and made that as well. Now, next, focus on our fonts designing part as well. So, as I can see that the theme of the application basically has this gradient background. So let me just go back to our project and let me just put myself right here. And let's go back to constants, colors. Let's create our class colors, and here we'll add colors. So colors that we will be using, as we can see here, that this light and dark one. So let me just copy the hex. Right. So we'll paste that, and next one also we'll copy that and we'll paste that. Perfect. After that, once this is added, next color that we have is for this button, green button, and okay, green and purple button, and this will be image. That's it. So Next, what I'll do is first let's export this component. So I'll export that from here so we can utilize that quickly. Next, let's go to our pubspec.yaml and let's add our assets in our project. So assets, assets and images and entire image folder will be added. Great. Next, add our fonts. So we'll add our fonts. Let's go here. So let me just create a folder, Digitalt, and we'll add this TTF. We'll drag and drop that, and refractor we will do. And here also I'll add the fonts. So fonts, and we'll add the family, that will be Digitalt. And next we will add the fonts itself, so that will be assets, fonts, digitalt, right? Yeah. And then digitalt.ttf. Yeah, that will do the job. And let's hit pub get now. So our font is added as well, and our images is added as well. Now let's go back, create inside our constants. Let's create our theme.dart, and let's create our assets. So inside the core, we have our constants, assets, and models. And okay, for now that's fine. Now let's go and add some in the inside our assets. So here I'll create assets. I'll create images. So inside assets.dart, let's create class assets, which will have now let's create our class images. That's right. And inside our images, I'll add static const path, and here we can add our assets images. Next, we can add our static const, and then I can add our banner. So that will be path, and here I'll add, let me rename that to banner only, banner.png I'll add. So now what we can do inside our splash screen, I can create a image dot asset. I can pass assets dot images. Alright, so our image will be added, and then let's go back and inside our, so we want our background as well. So I'll create a common widget. So inside our views, we'll be having our core, right? I'll add here widgets. So here we can add our global widgets. So all of the global assets, models, constants, widgets that we'll have, I'll add that in core. And so here inside the widgets, I'll create our background widget. Right, so I'll import material.dart. I'll create a stateless widget, which will be our background widget. And here I'll put down basically a scaffold, which will be having a body, which will have a container, or I can use double dot infinity height double dot infinity decoration box decoration gradient and colors. Sorry, so here colors that I have added in constants, I'll change the class name to custom colors so that it will be having different name. So bg gradient I can add here, so our gradient will be added, and then in the child we'll pass the child, so it will take a widget inside, so final widget child that I will add, and that will be helpful. Next we can use this background widget specifically instead of this scaffold. So now I'll use this, I'll remove this as well, format the code and import our background widget. So our background will be added, and inside the center, so here center we'll be having our image. So we do not want in center. So let's see. So first let me just run the application now. Simulator I'll open up. Alright then, so our device is opened as well. Let me hot restart and run the project. So the project is running as well. Let's wait for that. There we go. So our project is built and the application is installed as well. So our main banner is added. All right. Next, what we'll do is, instead of using center here, I'll wrap this with our column and I'll change that to stack instead. And yeah, align, I'll pass the alignment as, now we want to decrease in the x-axis, so I'll make it as minus 0.2. all right, yeah, that seems to have done the work. And in the y-axis also minus 0.3 or 4 or 5. Yeah, 4 I think will do the job. That's right. Next, what we will do is I'll create another align and the child. This time this will be of 0 from x-axis and from y 0.4, and now we'll have a text. Now inside our design, all of the text that we have will be of this font. So what I can do is I can change the text theme in main.dart. But first, let me just add our loading ... and add that. So here I'll add the styling for the loading. So style we'll add, and after that, let's just go and in the main.dart, I can add the font family. And the font family we can pass as the font that we've added. So I'll add the name Digitalt. Yes, and I'll add that in font as well. So let me hot restart, and the font is changed as well in the entire application. Now we can go inside our splash screen again, and inside here, let's create inside the build method, I can get the text theme. So context, so theme dot of context dot text theme we can get from here, and this text theme we can utilize and we can get that. So here text theme dot body medium copy width, and there color we can pass right there. Now let's change the text theme dot to something like headline medium. That will work, and that will be our loading. Perfect. Next, let's go and make our new users page. So inside this splash screen that I have made, what I'll do is inside the username screen, I'll create a dart file, username screen dot dart. I'll import material dot dart, and let's create another stateless widget. And here I'll simply going to add user name screen. Perfect. So inside the main dot dart, let me just change that for now to user name screen so that we can make our UI. So I'll go there, and inside that same we'll add. So we have made this background widget. So I'll copy that and I'll put that background widget right here. And the child that we'll be having, so here it is a column basically. So I'll create a column and we'll put that in. Let's format the code and let me hot restart. So there we go. This is our new user screen. Inside the main dot dart, let's remove this debug banner as well. So I'll make it as false. So the banner is removed. Next, let's change the title as well to Tic Tac Toe game. Yeah, that'll work. Next, let's go inside the screen and make the UI. So we need this chip as well. So let's go back to our core widgets, and here I am adding all of the global widgets. So I'll create a custom chip right here. Let's make that. Let's import material and let's create a stateless widget of custom chip, and right here, so what it will accept is a title. So we'll add a title, we'll pass the title in the parameters, and here we'll create a container and it will have a decoration, box decoration, and we'll add a border dot all colors dot white, and width I can pass as 4 for example, and for now let's pass that. Next we will be having our border radius, so circular I'll add, and for the border radius let's go inside and it is 32, let's pass for now. And inside the child, let's pass our text, and that will be coming from our title. And next we'll be having our text theme. So let's get the text theme from context, and using that we can just style our title as well. So let's get the text theme dot, and we'll get our, so now here body large I can use, let's use that. And this custom chip that we have, I'll copy that and I'll add that inside the column of our username screen, and here the title I'll pass as enter player name. So I'll just copy that and I'll put that here. Okay, something is added, and I'll wrap this column with safe area first. Next I'll add some sized box for some spacing, and I'll add a height, and that will be, so custom chip that we have, it is always available on top. So let me just add a spacing inside it only. So I'll add a margin of only, and here let's provide a top of 32 or 24. Yeah, that will work. Next let's go and style this. So here let's just pass a padding, and we can pass symmetric, and then we can pass the horizontal as 8 and vertical as 4. Let's just pass that for now, and I'll format copy with color, I'll pass as white. So let's just pass that. All right, so next let me just change the body large, do headline small. Yeah, that can work as well. And perfect. So this will work. Here I'll add a horizontal of 16 and vertical of 8. And this I'll change it to 18 instead. Yeah. Okay. That we can change later on as well. Otherwise, let's go and make it title large we can do. Next, let's go back to our username screen, and here what we have is this layout. So we have expanded and another expanded, so we'll be having two expanded. The first one will have a flex of 2 and the second one will have a flex of 1. We'll pass the child center. Let me just copy that and change the flex. All right. And here we'll add our text field. So for now, I'll just add a sized box. We'll deal with that later on. And here first, let's add a button. So I'll create a global button here as well. So let's create a custom button. And let's import material.dart. And let's go and create our button. So custom button. All right, now let's use a package for this button, and this button we can use, and it has an effect on clicking as well that we can utilize. So let me just copy that and add that to our pubspec.yaml. So all right, so let me just nice buttons we can add, pub get we can run, and that will add the package. All right, so it is added. Next, let's go and inside our custom button we can add this nice button. So what I'll do is I'll just copy this nice buttons code and put that right here and import it. Stretch I'll not pass, horizontal on tap. And now here what we'll do is first one thing that we'll be needing is the title. So first let's just pass the title and pass the title here as well. Next, inside the user name screen, here I'll add our custom button which will accept a title. So the title here we have continue. So I'll pass continue as the title. Let me format the code now. Okay. So let's go to run and hot restart once. Okay, so the button is added and it is clickable with the animation as well that we can utilize. So that is good. Next, what I'll do is here inside the custom button, let's pass the stretch as false because we don't want it to stretch completely, right? And next, let's pass a color. All right, and we can change the thickness with the padding. Yeah, so now we are having this button that we can utilize, which will work. So let me just add const everywhere. Next, we will utilize this. Okay, later on we will do based on that next button we'll make, but for now continue is fine. And here I'll create our center. Now it will have our column children. Main axis I'll pass as minimum, and inside that we'll have our text and a text field. So first let's create a text. I'll create the cross axis as start, and this will have the player name as text. Let's pass the style. Now let's create a text theme dot of context dot text theme, and let's utilize the text theme inside our style. So let's make it as body large, try with that, and let me remove the const from here. Let's add const everywhere else where it is required. Okay, so let's change that to headline medium. Yeah, that will work. Next, let's go, and so here we have our player name. Cross axis start is not working right here. So what I will do is I'll wrap this column with a sized box of double dot infinity. That's right. Now it's coming. Next, we want some padding here of 24. So I'll add the padding to the column, symmetric horizontal, and we'll pass 24 here. Next, after the text, so first let me just pass the color as white. All right, and then after the text we'll add some spacing. So let's check how much space. 10 I have passed, so here also let's pass 10, and after that let me add const. We'll add our custom text field. So inside the widgets I'll create a custom text field which we can utilize as well in the app, but let's make a global widget for that as well. So let's create a stateless widget and custom text field, we can name it, right? And here, as we can see that this is a text field. So let's create a container color, no, not color, decoration, box decoration, and we will pass the width as double dot infinity. So complete stretched text field it will be. And after that, the decoration inside, let's pass the color as white. Then we'll pass the border radius as 32. I'm guessing it will be for the border. Okay, so it is 12 actually. All right, so let's make it 12 only. And after that, so color we have added, border radius we have added. We'll add a shadow, so box shadow. We'll pass the shadow, but first let me add a child in the container and we'll add our text field. Okay, so because this custom text field is not added yet, let me add that and hot reload. All right, so our text field is added. All right then, so after this we have added our text field. So I'll add some padding here. So let's add a padding all and add 4. Okay, so not all, but okay, fine. Inside the text field, let's add our decoration, input decoration, and I'll remove the border. So input border dot none. Here the padding symmetric horizontal 4 we'll pass. So we'll pass 4 and vertical it will be 4. Horizontal 8 and vertical 4 is fine. Let's make it as 10 horizontally. All right. So this is our button that we have added. All right, so this will work. Next, so the styling that I'm seeing, the button text that we have is bit larger, right? So here I added this, we copy pasted that code. So I'll add the text theme here as well. So this custom chip, let me copy this text theme and I'll put that right here. Next, let's copy the text theme and use that to get our styling. So we'll be using headline medium, for example, and let's put it in center. Okay, and copy with color white. All right. Next, let's go here inside our username screen. We have this column, we have the player name. Let's make this as headline small instead. Awesome. So now continue, can click and we can enter the player name. Perfect. So this screen is done as well. UI is done. Let's go to our home page now. So I'll copy the entire screen of the username screen and let's go inside our home page. Let's create a class. So home screen, and okay, I'll create a folder instead. So home screen, and let's paste everything up here. Now I'll rename this as home screen, and instead of this, center is fine, everything is fine, padding not required, size block is not required. Right here I'll add the image that I added here, that is our banner image. So we'll just add that, and assets we'll add, so we will include that, and we'll remove this and text theme as well, which is not required. Now this home screen, let's hook it up with our main.dart. So let me just add that, and perfect. All right, so that will work, and the chip that we have will be having the name. So let's go here and welcome back, and here we'll add the name from the local storage. We'll change that later on as well. Perfect. So continue, we have added. Okay, that will work. Right now I added the padding, but better would be to crop that image so that problem can be resolved. All right, so continue. So here we have a button of play game. So let's change the name to play game. And here we are having this title of play game will come. Next, let's use this getter and change our styling as well. So if it is purple, then it's fine. Otherwise, I'll be having this color. So let's add that 0xff and paste that. Const we'll add. Same thing we'll do for the bottom two colors as well. And now inside the home screen, I can pass the style as green. So that will change our color to play game, which is better now. And here I can see the text has shadow as well. So let's add the shadow to the text as well. We'll go back to our button. We have the text. And here inside shadows, we'll add box shadow. So let's pass that, and let's change the color to something lower, 38. Yeah, that will work. So all right, let's just add a const here, and this will work. Now this on tap also will add a callback method. So final function on tap will connect the on tap as well. So on clicking we'll call on tap dot call. Now this on tap we'll add inside our home screen. Okay, now const we cannot pass. Next, in username screen also same we'll do. On tap and const now we cannot pass. All right, now on clicking continue, we'll add the logic here, but for now let's go back to our home screen, and on clicking the play game we'll navigate to our finding device page. So our home page is done as well. On clicking the play game button we'll navigate to our finding device page. So that is not created yet. Let me just make that. So new dot, first we'll make a folder, finding devices screen, and let's create a dart file for the same. Let's import. So for now let me just copy this up, paste the entire code, and change the class name finding devices screen. All right, now inside the main dot let's add this. Perfect. Next, chip we do not have, so chip I'll add also. So I'll add a scanning. Yeah, that will work. So let me just hot reload once. Now this, so we'll have this. First let me just change the flex here to 4 to 2, or okay, 4 to 2 is fine. Here we have a center. So now instead of this image we'll add our widget. So that widget I have made in the last video that you can check out right here, and so we'll be using that. So let's go in the browser and let's go in the pub dev, so device scan animation, and that is the package that I have made in the last video, and I'll be using that package. So let me just copy that and add that in pubspec YAML. So let me just add that, and our package should be added, and there we go, it is added. Next, let's go, and here I can add the device scan widget. That's it. And let me hot reload. So there we go, our scanning animation is added as well. Coloring and all we'll change, and yeah, everything else looks fine. So next we'll add this play game button. So here I'll change it to start game. Once we have found a device locally, then the start game button will appear, and then they can click on that and the game can start. Perfect. So the design of our finding device screen is done as well. Next, let's go and make our Tic Tac Toe page. So now let's go, and inside our Tic Tac Toe page, I will not copy the screen first. Let's create our Tic Tac Toe screen. Import material dot dot, create a stateless widget, and here add the name Tic Tac Toe screen. We'll add our background widget, and then we'll create our Tic Tac Toe widget. So inside the Tic Tac Toe screen, I'll create widgets, and here I'll create a Tic Tac Toe widget. Okay, I made a folder. We'll create a new dart file for Tic Tac Toe widget. All right. Next, we'll go inside core models and we'll create our model GameState. So we'll create a model GameState, and inside the constant enum, I'll add these two enum for player, which will be P1 and P2, and we'll add a status, so or game status, so that will be P1 turn, P2 turn, P1, P2 1, or draw. So that can be different status for each time. So every time it has to be either P1 turn, P2 turn, P1 has won the game, P2 has won the game, or it is draw. Perfect. So that these two enums we'll add. Next, inside the cores only, let me create exceptions, and here we'll handle our exceptions. So exceptions.dart we'll make. And let's create a class invalid claim exception implements exception. All right, so that we have made our exception for invalid claim exception that will be used in our Tic Tac Toe widget. Next, inside our models, let's create our game state. Let's create our class GameState final list of player, and we'll create fields. Let's import our enum for players. So let's create our constructor. So GameState, and fields will be equals to null. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times null I have added. Perfect. Next, we'll make our game status. So here we are fetching the status of the game. So if we have 3 fields in a row for player 1, that means that player 1 has won the game. If we have 3 fields in a row for player 2, that means player 2 has won the game. If neither has won the game, that means we are checking the occupied fields that we have. So fields where the field is not null, that means those fields are as occupied fields. So if the occupied fields is equals to 9, that means all of the field that we have is not equals to null, that means it's a match of draw. Otherwise we are checking if has even amount of occupied fields. So if there are even amounts of occupied fields, that means that player 1 turn it is, otherwise it is turn of player 2. So that's what game status will be returning from this getter of game status. Now we have to make a method has 3 fields in a row so that we can check for each player if there are any 3 consecutive fields filled by that player. So let's make that. So here you can see that we have a bull condition and player we are passing. So for each field that we have, we are checking that if the 0, 1 and 2 is equals to player, or 3, 4 and 5, or 6, 7 and 8. So all of the possible combinations that we have for any player to be 1, that we have added here inside the if block. And if any of it is OR, so any of it is true, then we are returning true. Otherwise, we will return false. Awesome. So that is it. Nothing else we will add inside our game state. So in summary, we have added a fields, and by fields, the default field that we have is null for 9 squares. And we have a game status of getter status, and that will retrieve the status of the game. Whenever we'll call, it will tell us the current status of the game. Either player 1 has 1, player 2 has 1, it is a draw, or if it is player 1 or player 2's turn. And we have helper method as well to checking if any of player has won the match or not. Awesome. Let's create another method here for claiming any square. So here first let's make another constructor for assign. So here fields we can pass, then we'll make a method claim field that we can use, and index we can pass for any field, and here we'll also pass our exception. So let's just import that. So if the field is less than 0 or greater than 8, or if it is not equals to null, then we'll return the invalid claim exception that we've made earlier. And if the status is not equals to player 1 turn and player 2 turn, so if both of those players does not have the turn as the status of the game, then also we can return this invalid claim exception. Otherwise, we'll get the fields, and then whatever index the index that field we are passing, we'll just update that new fields with that p1 turn, or so if it is the player 1 turn, then we'll add as player 1. Otherwise, we'll pass player 2 for that particular square, and then we'll reassign that game state as well. Perfect. And then we'll return that game state. So our model is made for our game state that we can use inside our Tic Tac Toe widget. So here inside the Tic Tac Toe widget, we'll add the UI for that, and inside the Tic Tac Toe screen, we'll be having our game state. So first, let me make this as a stateful widget. Let's make our game state is equals to game state. So by default, we'll assign it to that. Now this game state we can utilize, and this state we can pass to our Tic Tac Toe widget. So center child Tic Tac Toe widget, and now game state we'll pass. Let's go back, and here let me import material stateless Tic Tac Toe widget. Let me just import that widget. Now final game state and constructor inside also we'll add the game state. So this Tic Tac Toe widget, we'll make that first. So here let's add padding. Grid view we can pass with cross axis count as 3, and here game state dot fields dot length. So how many fields we have dot length. So that length we can pass in our grid view builder, shrink wrap true we can pass, and inside the item builder we can pass our build grid title. So let's create that widget, build grid title now. So here let's make that widget as well. Grid title we'll add. We'll wrap it with the gesture detector, and on tap, if it is player 1 turn or player 2 turn, then we'll call the on square clicked method and index. So this callback will be called. So first let's go and create our callback method. So function, it will take the index and that will be called, and we'll add that in parameters as well, so that will be called. Container inside, we'll add the decoration and center text, and now we want the O and the X. So that method, let's make that. So string, now it will accept the player, right? And here we'll return the player string if it is 0 or X, so that we can return symbol as well. And inside our tic tac toe screen, so this widget we'll add inside our tic tac toe screen, and here let's add our callback method. So on square clicked, we'll be having our index. So now GameState is equals to GameState. Okay, so GameState dot claim field, and here index we can pass for that, and then we can call set state to rebuild our UI as well. Awesome. So let me go and copy this tic tac toe screen and add that in our main.dart to test it out. So let me hot restart now. There we go. So now if I click, you can see X, 0, X, 0, X, 0, X. And now I cannot play any more as well, and player has won the match. The X has won the match. So how we'll know who has won the match at the moment? So here let's print it out as well. So game state dot status, I'll print that. Let's hot reload. Let's go to the run, and here you can see it is player 1 turn. So now I can click here X. Now it is player 2 turn. So now 0, player 1 turn, X, 0. I'll click X, and now player 1 has won the game, you can see. And now we cannot play anymore because player 1 has won the game. So now our tic-tac-toe game basically is working. Let's style that a bit. So inside the tic-tac-toe widget, the container that we have made, let me just make that boundary thickness we can pass here, right? And next, right now if I am hot restarting, you can see that I can play from both sides. I can play from X and 0 as well. But in the game that we are making, I want to make sure that we have to assign every device a player, and we won't be able to play for opposite player. So we'll be having a player here. Player.p1 for example, right? And this player we need to pass here, and inside our tic-tac-toe widget that will also accept this player. Now whenever I'm clicking on tapping, so here we'll make bool condition is equals to if the player is equals to player 1. That means we'll only check with the first part of our condition. Otherwise, we'll check for player 2. Makes sense. So now this condition that we have, that we can use inside our if condition. Perfect. So now if I am player 1, I can only play when the turn is of player 1. So let me hot restart now. I can play with X, but I am not able to play with 0. So now the player that we are playing with will be assigned with the different player as P2 and I'll be assigned as P1, and we have to play the game. And here on square clicked, we'll be exchanging the messages, the list and the game state. So this game state will be universal object for both the players. It has to be exactly same. Perfect. So that's what we'll be using. Next, let's go and add the game status as well on the screen. So inside our Tic Tac Toe screen, what I will do is, instead of making this center, I will add that inside a column, and here let's create a expanded center child, and let's create a text U1 for example, and we'll add that. Let me format the code. Alright, then we'll just get this string from above. So string, or let's go and inside our game state only, we have our game state as status. So let's get the formatted string as well. So string get formatted status, and based on our status we can get that. Else let's just return empty. So now this formatted status we can get. So game status, game state dot formatted status, and player we can pass const. Let's remove that, and their turn, it's coming. So now let me just style that. We can get our text theme dot of context dot text theme. Now with this text theme, let's go dot display small. Let's try with that, and copy with colors. Let's go with the white. Shadow, let's add a back box shadow of color black 38 and blur radius of 8. Yep, and display medium, let's do their turn. So now on hot restarting, your turn, I played, their turn, they'll play, then my turn, and so that the game will continue, and once one player will win the match, and that status will appear here. Now what more we can do is we can pass color as well. So instead of making it white, let's pass our color. So same we can do. Status color, let me make this method, and okay, so your turn I'm getting. Now their turn, and once anyone will win the match, that time we'll get green, otherwise red if I have lost the match. All right. So let's see if that works. Next, what I will do is inside our main.dart, I will add the splash screen and we'll add that. Inside here, let me add the init state, and inside the init state, we'll add future.delayed duration seconds 4. So we'll wait for that, and once the duration is completed, we will be navigating. So let's create a bool is new user. For now, I'll make it as true by default. We'll add our local storage as well. So if is new user, then we'll navigate to. So for now, we'll just add the navigation dot off context dot push material page route context, and I'll navigate to new okay, so user name screen. Okay, otherwise, so else we'll navigate to our home screen. Once this is done, here we have our, instead of push, I'll name it as push replacement, so that our splash screen will be replaced instead. Perfect. So let me hot restart now. Now after the duration, it will automatically navigate to our new user. Let me reduce that to 3 seconds instead. So now we'll wait and it will navigate to our new user where I can enter the name. So I'll enter my name, yes, and click continue so that it will save the name locally. So I'm clicking continue. Let's go to our username screen, and here we'll navigate to our home screen for now, but we also have to update our name in local storage as well. So I'm clicking, we'll navigate, and there we go, back to our home page. And now on clicking the play game button, we'll be navigating to our finding devices screen, where it will just scan. And here, so here let me make this as stateful widget, and inside init state we'll add our P2P. So here we'll add our logic scanning for P2P, and let's create a boolean getter. So is user found, and let's make it as true. So now based on that, okay, and here I'll change the title as well. If user is found, user found, I'll change it to. And then start game we can click. So on clicking the game start game, we will navigate to our main Tic Tac Toe screen. So here let me copy and paste this code, and we'll go to our Tic Tac Toe screen. Start game we can click, your turn we have, I can click X, now their turn, and I cannot play anymore. Next, what we have to do, so our UI front is done. Next, what we have to do is first we have to add our local DB. So let's go and create our local DB here, and let me just remove everything else. And inside the pubspec YAML, we'll add our hive package, and here we'll add hive flutter. Pubget we can run here, and that will add the hive flutter package for us. Next, let's go inside the local DB. Let's create our local DB class. And here what we are doing, I added a initialize static method that we can call, where we can initialize our hive package. So hive.init flutter, and we have to open box. So we'll create another class inside our local DB only, and that will be local DB routes. And here I'll just add our user route inside our routes list. So now we can import local DB routes, and now we can call this initialize method inside our main.dart. So let's go to our main.dart, and here on top in void method we can make it as asynchronous and local db dot initialize we can call, and let's add await as well. So that will initialize our local DB. Next, what we can do inside our local DB only, I'll create, so here I will add a string get user name and hive dot box local db routes dot user route dot get user name. So we can use that to get our username, and let's create a void set user name as well, which will take a string of name, and now this will set our username instead. So put username and name. All right, so that will add in our name. Next, so this set username we can call. Now what I can do inside the splash screen, we can get local db dot, okay, so let's make this as static so that username I can access not equals, so is equals to null. That means it's a new user. So if it is a new user, then we'll navigate here, and before navigating to home screen I have to update, so await async, or better I can do is local db dot, okay, so here also static void we'll add, and set username, and this text field that we have added right here, controller we'll pass inside it, so it will accept a context editing controller. Now this controller we'll pass inside our text field. All right. Next, what we will do, this controller that we have made, I'll just assign that controller, and now I'll create this as stateful screen, final text editing controller, not final, is equals to text editing controller. And now this controller we can use, so controller dot text. If controller dot text dot trim is not empty, only then we'll add the logic. Perfect. So it will set the username dot so set username, and let's add future here. Dot then, and here we'll navigate to our home screen. And now this yes will be coming from our localdb dot username, and it should not be null. So let me hot restart now. Let's go to run. No implementation found, so let's stop the app and run it once again. So our app is installing and it has opened as well. Now from splash screen, it should go directly to our new user screen. Here I'll add a yes M, continue. Yes M is coming right here. Now if I hot restart the app as well, it should go directly to the home screen with yes M. Perfect. So this is done. Next, what we need to do, whenever I click on play game, now what we have to do is we have to find the user. So we have to add the P2P logic for that. So our local storage is done. Now let's go to pubspec YAML file, and here we add Flutter nearby connections and device info. Pubget we can run after that, and that will add the dependencies. Next, after adding this Flutter nearby connections, what we can do is first we have to go to the info.plist, which is inside iOS and runner and info.plist file, and here we need to add this. So this code we'll add there inside info.plist, and after that, once this is done, next let's go back to our finding device screen, and it is a stateless widget. So first we'll go up right here, and let me change that to stateful widget, and now we'll have some variables that we need to assign. List of devices, connected devices, subscription, and receive data subscription. Next, let's create our dispose method as well. So on going off screen, all of the subscriptions that we have added will be cancelled, and nearby service package will also stop searching for any devices. Next, we'll go down, and here I'll create a method, and this method is init, so that we can use. So first we have to import device info and platform. So basically what's happening is inside this init method, we are initializing our packages. So nearby service is initialized, dev info, so device info that we are fetching that if it is Android or iOS. So right now the package, this Flutter nearby connections package, is only supported in iOS. I tried with Android, but it is giving some Kotlin error, so I'm not sure for Android. So for iOS, what we can do is we can fetch the device info, and if it is Android, then we can fetch the device info this way. Next, nearby service that we can initialize that, and service type we can pass as MP connection. Device name we can pass as device info. Strategy we can pass as P2P cluster, and callback method that we have, if it is running, then we can pass as stop broadcasting, stop advertising. So we'll stop that, we'll wait for 200 microseconds and we'll start that again. So once it is initialized, it will start browsing and advertising peer, it will start. So all right, once that is done, next we have our subscription. So here what we are doing is, whenever any device is located nearby, then this subscription will be called, and then we'll get that device name, device ID. We can fetch all of that information. So once the device connected, then we can fetch and stop browsing for peers. So we can stop the browsing. So first let me just go there and remove that, so we can stop the browsing. Yeah, and what I'll do is I'll create, so found device ID is equals to element dot device ID we will do, and I'll break as well the loop. So found device ID, I'll copy that, and I'll create one more variable, and let's make it as nullable. So if found device ID not equals to null, that means that we have found our user. So once we have found the user, this device ID, we can transfer it to our Tic Tac Toe screen. So here on clicking the start game, we are moving to Tic Tac Toe screen. So I can pass the found device ID as well. So next, let me just remove that. This device ID I will add right here. So final string and this will not be null. Is user found not equals to null. Perfect. So now let me hot restart the app. Let me hit on play game, and this init we are not calling. So let's go, and on initialize I can call init, otherwise let's better call it inside our init state only. So inside the init state I'll add init method, and let's hot restart once again to check. Let's hit play game, and we are getting no implementation found. So let me stop the app and restart it once again and wait for it to run. So now let's go to play game, and we do not have any error here. All right, so device, now we need to open another one and try it out ourselves if it will work or not. So once device is connected, device ID will be passed to our Tic Tac Toe screen. So let's first go, and I'll go back. Dispose method will be called and browsing will be stopped, subscription will be cancelled. Next, what we have to do is let's go to our Tic Tac Toe screen, and here also we have to do this again. This devices is not required, so I'll remove that, and these I will add these two. Async we'll import, and here we will also add this. So inside the dispose, and this widget dot found device ID, so it's actually device ID. Disconnect we'll do, and stop browsing we will do. Stop browsing, stop advertising also. Okay, next let's go down, and here we will be having our init method. So what I will do now is let's go here inside our Tic Tac Toe screen, and I will create another Dart file, not here finding device screen, but in here. So new P2P manager I'll create, and let's create a Dart file P2P manager. Okay, manager. Let's create a class P2P. Let's take these variables and take them out and put them right here. Next, let's import async and nearby connection and device info and IO library and foundation. So now we can use this P2P manager. So let's make that P2P manager dot init, and for dispose as well, dispose. So next go here and P2P manager dot is user found, and here as well, and device ID we can fetch. So I'll remove the logic of device info and everything from here, and we have our P2P manager that we will be using. Now this set state I'll remove, and function, a callback method we'll make on device connected, new device connected. So I'll just copy that, and we'll just call that method. So now in finding device screen, I can pass and call set state to rebuild the UI. So every time device screen is added, we'll use the set state to rebuild. And here then we'll call is user found. We'll check, okay, it's not is equals to null or not equals to null, and then play game or start game button will appear. All right, so next what we can do in tic-tac-toe screen also, we will not be needing these. So I'll remove nearby connections and async, and we'll only create a P2P manager that we can utilize. So P2P manager dot dispose, and in init state dot init. Okay. So now let me hot restart it. Okay. And let me open simulator one more. So another iPhone 14 Pro Max, and click a hot restart, so that also will build the application for both. So let's wait for that to run and install.